Hello, welcome back to the Streamlined CEO podcast. I'm your host, Karalee, and today I have a very special guest. Her name is Melissa Hinman, and we're going to be talking about why tracking your energy is crucial for leadership success, right? We're talking about all you CEOs over here, especially if you are a mom or you're just super busy, because we want to avoid burnout before it happens, right? We don't want to walk into that. And we talk about burnout a lot around here. But before we begin and let Melissa introduce herself, I want to tell you how I actually know Melissa. So most people laugh at this story. The first time we met each other in person was in an airport, a baggage claim. We were literally in Texas. We were there for a business retreat and we were actually going to be roomies. So we decided we were going to stay in a hotel room together for the very first time. And we met in literally, I don't know, an hour before that. But we had talked online and stranger danger and all the things, like you're not supposed to do that kind of, I don't know. But anyway, we are great friends now. This is like a whole almost year and a half later. And I'm super excited to get to talk to you here. So now that I shared our fun little story about how we met, how about you share with the listeners what you do and how you can serve them?
Thanks, Karalee, for having me. And yes, that was a fun trip. We gotta do it on repeat like every year.
Yeah.
So I am a midlife health coach for women, or a midlife navigator, or energy wrangler, whatever you want to call me. I'm a hype woman for women. I am a hyper woman, but I'm also a hype woman for women who are over feeling like strangers in their own bodies, because ain't nobody got time for that. I'm an RN by background, I'm a coach by choice, and I blend science-backed insights with real-life strategies that actually work for women juggling all the things. So my clients and I navigate burnout, brain fog, amidst all the hormonal chaos that happens in midlife, without the crash diets, the guilt, or perfectionism, through small, sustainable shifts that bring their energy, clarity, and confidence back without overhauling their whole life.
I love that. And I have learned so much from you. And so I'm super excited to kind of dig into what you support people with, or I should say, what you support women specifically with, right? Because most of us are in perimenopause and all that stuff. And, the things are crazy around here when you hit that stage in life. Like, you don't realize it until you actually are in it. And so I'm super excited for you to jump into sharing with us about your energy, because your energy is where I feel like we always have energy roller coasters, right? But I feel like right now, like the energy roller coaster and like this midlife is a little bit of a different beast, if so I know you talk about the concept of like energy and like energy zones, like all of that stuff. So can you explain to our listeners like what energy zones are, like how they can know if they're in a specific zone, like all of that stuff? I've heard you talk about this on your podcast. So Melissa does have a podcast. If you want to dive deeper into this, for the record, it's awesome. But can you tell us a little bit more about these energy zones and how we can use them to kind of like gauge all the things, right?
Yes, absolutely. All right. So before we continue with the energy zones, I just want to say, if you're midlife women and you're secretly wondering, is this just how it is now? Like, is this just how I feel? The answer is no. You're not crazy. You're not broken. And you just need a system that fits this current version of you. So a little background story. About kind of where I got this unofficial start in my personal life as far as energy zones. So a little background about me. 2010, I got married. 2011, I had my first son. 2014, I had my second son. And in 2015, we had moved to a different house, literally like 2 miles down the street, for a better school district. But in those first 5 years, my husband was working night shift. And not only did we become parents, but we were literally passing ships for multiple years between working full time, dropping off kids at daycare, all the things. And in 2016, I started my current corporate career in case management with my nursing license. And my younger sister got me into writing. And at the time I thought, I need to do something for myself. It got me out of the house. It got me some quiet time. It was kind of nice to decompress and think without like the mom mom, or whatever going on, And so it honestly became kind of a hyper focus for me. And I think eventually I found out that probably wasn't such a good thing, but it led me into challenging myself to run a half marathon. And so I trained and I trained and I trained, and it was literally all I trained for. And in 2017, I ran my first and currently my last half marathon. And then I essentially became a couch potato. I literally ran myself into the ground. And so when I was done, I met that goal. I was like, and we're done. And so that's when I feel like I became the most sedentary, most lazy I have ever been, because I literally ran myself ragged. So diving into energy zones in the medical field, when it comes to certain like diagnoses, there's a concept as far as traffic lights. And so it's not a new concept, but if you're familiar with someone who has asthma or COPD, there's traffic zones or traffic lights that you use for breathing. When I know I'm in a good level, when maybe I need to start using my medication, when do I need to call the doctor? So taking this concept and applying it to energy is one empowering way that women and CEOs can take an intentional approach to recognize what category they may be in and actively intervene. So this falls back into what you're saying, like we're going to be proactive, right? We don't want to be reactive. We want to hit it before it gets to the red zone. So considering
which is burnout, right? The red zone is definitely burnout.
Disconnect, like I'm done, like I'll be in my room for like the next 30 days,
Oh man. Okay. All right. Keep going. I'm excited to hear more.
I'm being dramatic, but
I mean, maybe not though. Like it could be legit. It's a possibility. It depends.
Yeah, find me under the covers. Just bring me food. So we got the real life version of energy zones. And this is like your ClickUp version, right? For your body and your brain, your ClickUp dashboard for your body and your brain. And so green, yellow, and red. And so if you're in the green, this is kind of like where you feel clear-headed, you're productive, you're in the flow, you're feeling focused, you're good, you're capable, you're grounded, you're showing up. And so this is like what we consider homeostasis, like even keel. We could do this consistently for a while. But the yellow is like the warning zone. And this is where you're starting, like you're still functioning, but there's like this friction. So like you're having those afternoon 2 p.m. crashes, you're feeling a little more short-tempered, you're becoming more forgetful. You're like in that constant internal buffering. The circle's always spinning.
I like that idea. I feel like that. That's totally relatable.
And so then you start to avoid the things that you enjoy or that you love. Mm-hmm. And you're not quite crashing and burning just yet, but you're definitely teetering on the edge. And then red is like full out burnout, right? Full stop. You're running on fumes and everything feels like way too much. You're canceling meetings, you're zoning out. You feel like you're literally disappearing into the abyss of the to-do list. And so you've become disengaged and disconnected. So I've explained the energy zones in one of my podcast episodes, episode 33. It actually walks you through how to determine your specific energy map and your zones. So just putting it out there. But most women that I work with really are living in the yellow, but they're acting and pretending as if it's green.
That's a great call out. Oh man, I don't like it, but
plot twist.
Totally, yes, there's the plot twist.
And wondering, why their systems aren't working. So for high-performing women, especially those in leadership roles, living in the yellow becomes the default. So you're accomplishing a lot, but at the cost of long-term energy. So they override their signals, that check engine light's on and you're like putting the piece of paper in front of it. Like, I don't see that today. We're going to keep on going.
I'm feeling very called out, Melissa. Just for the record, I feel like very called out right now. Keep going. I love this.
Okay. And then your body literally throws its own little tantrum. So when women are in red or in yellow, they're stuck at the very bottom of, I'm going to bring out Psychology 101, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Maslow's pyramid, sorry. And the very base of that pyramid is like basic human needs, physical safety needs, food, rest, sleep, regulation, like shelter. That's basic needs. So in my energy tune-up tracker, I know we'll talk about that a little bit later, it helps you catch what could be your yellow lights before you hit the red. So it's not about working less and it's not about being more productive, but it's about designing your business and your life around your actual energy and not just your ambition of it.
Whoa. I love it. I don't even know what to say. Like I want that. I need to talk to you more after this for sure. Because I feel like I live like the way you just said that though, like I literally do live in the yellow. And I actually recently hit a very hard burning red zone and it didn't feel good. And I feel like most of like I didn't realize how close I was until like one day I just couldn't function. And so being able to like kind of understand what those signs are before you even get there, because normally those red zones, in the way you're saying it, would happen when you least need it to. Like, a huge deadline's coming up, or you have to like now miss something for your kids or whatever. And like, we don't want that, right? We want things to be sustainable. And so like, oh man, I don't know. That's deep, man. I love it. These are like my favorite conversations.
It is deep.
So here, I know you also talk about something else because I feel like this also wraps right into being able to identify like your energy levels and what zone you're in, right? But that's like the day to day, like keeping an eye on all of that. But you also talk about like where do you actually want to go? And I believe you call it your midlife vision, if I remember correctly. Like, so what exactly does that entail? And like, why does it matter? And why should we have one? Give us the spiel because, we're already, wanting to hear more. So give it to us all. All of it.
Yeah, this one hits really deep. And yes, I do call it midlife vision or creating like your midlife vision statement. It kind of sounds like a business, but the statement for your body, because I mean, speaking for myself, I'm 40. In 5 years, I'm going to have an 18-year-old. Like when I think about that, I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, am I really that stage already? I feel like I have spent a lot of time, at least in my past, wishing my kids to sleep. Like, is it just bedtime yet? Because you're literally on survival mode. And then by the time they get to bed, you're like, I feel like a freaking awful parent. Now they're in bed. I have my quiet time, but now I feel guilty about it. Anyways.
Oh, again, I'm in that zone too. I'm also going to have an 18-year-old in 8 years or however many you said. It's
not
too
a
soon.
lot. It's not a lot. Yeah. It's just crazy.
Wait.
Like
5 years. 5 years.
5 years. We're in the same boat. But
I forgot we are. Anyway, continue. That's just okay. Mom moment.
I know. But here's the thing. So midlife women are so good at managing the details of everyone else's lives, which is why we've gotten to where we are now, right? We're 40 and we're kind of like having these aha, oh my God moments. But when asked, what do you actually want? What do you want? Your mind goes blank. So that was me too.
Yeah. Because you're always focused on everything else or everyone else. And you're kind of like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it'd be kind of nice to have this thing, but like, you don't really think about it.
Yeah.
So true.
Or like, who was I before kids? I don't even remember that me. That is not even me.
I was 19 when I had my daughter, so I didn't really have a me before kids.
Yes. Okay. Well, more reason why we need to figure out what is your vision.
Perfect. All right.
So, and that was me too. I had the job, the kids, never-ending checklist. Don't get me wrong. I still have the job. I still have the kids. I still have a never-ending checklist. But I didn't have a vision. And so not one that was actually updated for that current version of me. And granted, we all go through life experiences and changes. And so this version of me today will be different from the version of me next week or next month or 3 months from now. But a midlife vision is it's more than a goal. It's like a redefinition. It's not what do you want to do next, but like who do you want to be? How do you want to feel now that you've outgrown roles and expectations that you've carried with you for years, decades? So many midlife women have spent years serving, again, everyone else's needs, like we talked about. And somewhere along the way, they stopped and actually started asking what they wanted. So by creating your own midlife vision statement, It reconnects them to their own values, their own capacity, their own dreams, and gives them the permission that they need to pivot. And creating this vision and a vision statement isn't like a one and done exercise. It can be something that morphs and changes throughout time. So, yeah. So you stop building habits that serve someone else's vision or version of your success and start creating micro habits that actually feel aligned with you. And then when your energy feels more stable, you can finally move into those higher tiers of that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like self-esteem and purpose and identity. And it's not just a mindset thing, but it's a human needs thing.
And I want to like point something out here because I feel like you can absolutely support, I mean, any woman, but especially the listeners here of this podcast because they're CEOs, they're scaling, they're in their growth stage. And if you don't have the energy to be able to take on what that actually looks like, because we've all been there, it's a lot of freaking work. And so if we want to stay on top of it and not burn out in the process, we really have to have our energy in check. And so I feel like this midlife vision is what we would say is our goals for our business in general, but our goals for our business have to be in alignment with what that vision is in order to make sure that they're like they can connect with each other and you're not like trying to be competing, I guess. And so alignment is super huge with all of that. So I'm like, creating goals is like creating a goal, and goals you change, but it all has to do with your energy and what you want to accomplish.
Yeah, like what's important to you? What do you value? Because what you value or is your core belief may not be the same as mine. So, we take this really broad picture of women in midlife and we could put a blanket statement on it, but it's just not possible because we all value things a little bit differently. And I love that you talked about, the CEO role and leadership role. And I want to say that having this midlife vision or midlife vision statement is especially powerful for women in leadership because it allows them to shift from a reactive mode to a more intentional leadership mode. So when you align, like you said, your vision with your energy, your decisions become clearer. You can set more firmer boundaries. Burnout becomes less of a badge of honor and more of a red flag indicator of a practice or a habit that maybe is no longer serving.
Yeah. And it all comes down to like putting yourself first too, because when we put something I've had to learn over and over again, I'm still not quite there yet, but is like remembering that when you put yourself first, or like in this case, I feel like this vision, what you want to feel like is putting yourself first. It's not selfish and you have to do that in order to be able to show up with the energy and the mental capacity and all of that for your kids and those people that are in your life that you care about or your business. Like, I feel like energy is a core to having a successful life in relationships, but also let's just talk about business too. You got to have the energy to show up, whether it's behind the scenes, whether it's on video, like period, man. Yeah, everyone needs you at this point. And it's a core. I love to get to like the core, like the root causes of certain things. And so like, I feel like that's what you do. You don't just go like, we're going to treat like the top layer, the symptoms, the things that we, keep coming up. We're going to be like, well, what are those things actually coming from? And we like dig deeper. And I mean, I don't know if you actually said that here today, but I know you and I know that's what you do. And that's why I feel like that's why we have such deep conversations, is because like, we're like, we're not going to band-aid it. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to find out the real cause. And so, of course, like that's super in alignment for us too.
Yes.
But like, what about those people that are also feeling that extreme pressure to like do everything, right? They want to do it all. We all want to do it all. Now, are we doing it all successfully? No. So what do we actually have to do when we're feeling this pressure to be able to still show up? And like, what's that step look like?
I think that's really hard for a lot of us to do, and not just women. I'm just going to say everyone. It's because in the world right now, we're in like an on-demand world. Everything is like this. Amazon's at I ordered my kids socks last night, and I specifically chose just deliver tomorrow, which was today. Don't give it to me between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. Don't give it to me between 10 and 12. Like, just give it to me tomorrow. Like, I can take them tomorrow evening. They were still at my doorstep by 7:30 in the morning. So but we're in this on-demand world where we expect everything right away. And I think the most important thing is what's really hard for all of us is to take a step back, take a deep breath, slow down, and let's
Mm-hmm.
try and, refocus from tunnel vision to a little bit wider view. Okay, what's really important and what's not?
Yeah, I feel that for sure. Like it's almost as if we end up coming into a state of if we're not in complete chaos, if we're not super busy, that we actually don't know how to function
Yeah.
because it's default. I
Yeah.
actually, as a side note here, I actually went through this journey a few years ago where I actually had to slow down because I was kind of able to. I ran my own business, but I wasn't working full time at the same time. Luckily, my husband was able to kind of step in there. But I was able to slow down, and you know what? It felt like the most unnatural thing I had ever done in my life. And I've had two kids, so that's itself. But I'm like, it just felt it was very hard and felt impossible. So I'm like, doing it all is actually the only way to do it all is for one to not try to, but also to slow down, be comfortable with slowing down. I feel like. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. What's that saying? It's like take the time to smell the roses or something. Like really just be present in the moment. Just be present. And it is really hard, but when you do it, even if it's for like 5 minutes, you
Mm-hmm.
you bring you bring a sense of calm, you get kind of more grounded, and you can able to refocus on maybe what your next task is.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we could talk forever. We could talk forever. So I really love those perspectives because the real goal, the bottom line here is the real goal isn't how do we take the pressure away from doing it all. It's more like becoming comfortable with not being able to do it all and not making that an expectation and just being able to slow down and smell the roses, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's what
mean,
it's called.
energy management is leadership. Let's
Ooh.
remember that for CEO, right? CEO, women in leadership, or honestly, even women in your home. Energy management is leadership because if you can get your energy more under control, then you will then be a leader in other aspects of your life too, in the home life with the patients, when the kids are giving you like a hard time, or when you're on a phone call with, I don't know, your parent who's starting to get dementia, and you can keep yourself calm a little bit more and not get frustrated. But it's an example that you're living for those around you, so whether it's your team or your colleague or your kids or your friend down the street, you're leading by example. So yes.
Wow. This has been great. This has been incredibly insightful. And so I mean, of course, you've given us plenty to think on and about recognizing our energy levels or at least where we might be. But anyone needs to go check out the podcast. I have listened to the podcast she referenced earlier. We'll drop it in the show notes because it's super powerful to be able to recognize what zone you're in, right? If you're in the red, yellow, or green zone, where most of us are kind of defaultly in the yellow. So go ahead and it was incredibly insightful. And I am someone that is very kind of more aware of what I should and shouldn't do. And I'm working on the whole maybe I shouldn't do that part and actually not doing that part. So I'm still, growing and learning, and we all are. And so, where, besides the podcast that we're going to also link below here in the show notes, where else can they connect with you to learn more about really being able to get their energy in line so they can become a better leader?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for offering my ability to do that. So I do want to share with everyone who's listening, if you are thinking, oof, I've been in the yellow for months, or I feel that disconnect that we mentioned earlier, I do have a free tool. It's called the Energy Tune-Up Tracker. This really addresses 5 key foundational elements that could directly affect your energy. So consider it like your personal audit tool, where you can find where and why you may be feeling a lack of energy. And then you can use it also as a personal tracker to help build consistency in those areas. So you can grab that at melissahinman.com/tuneup. And you can also follow me on Instagram at It's Melissa Hinman.
I love that. Yes, you guys should go follow her. And your podcast is called Smash the Crash. So you guys can go find her there as well. So is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up here today?
Yes, I want to share how much I love the productivity impact and all it stands for, because it's all about designing systems that support the human behind the CEO. And so here's where we have that connection with you and me, Karalee, because a system is only as effective as the energy state of the person who's running it, right? So
Mind blown.
you can have the best automations, the best SOPs, the best team, but if you're living in the yellow or the red zones, even great systems can feel like pressure. So that's why we need to focus from the foundation first, stabilize that base of that Maslow's hierarchy of needs: sleep, food, stress, rest. And then, and only then, can you access higher level strategic thinking and actually use those productivity systems that you create, all those click ups that you work so hard to build and develop, to their full potential.
Oh my gosh. That's like amazing. And yes, that's what I've been trying to say forever. Yes, you can only use the systems. Like the person behind it has to be good in order to use them. They're only as good as the person that's using them. It's so true. Like you can only automate so much. So thank you. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. So thank you for sharing so much amazingness as well. Like I said, go check out her podcast, Smash the Crash. Go follow her on Instagram and grab her energy tune-up tracker. I have had access to all of her things. They are amazing, and you're going to learn so much, which is why I have her on the podcast, because anyone I have on the podcast, I personally recommend their things and all the things. So thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning into the Streamline CEO today. That's all for this episode. So make sure you subscribe. You can check out YouTube for any additional bonus episodes. But that's all for now. Have a good one.